all media, most media is covered on today's show. I don't know if that makes sense. Creator Doug Knight is here, and host podcaster Justin Lawrence is also with me today. He's from Geekcentric, the podcast Geekcentric, and I'm almost 100% sure that we're going to have an Omar Recommends, so stick around. Whew, that was a great opening. I absolutely love my open. And stop and watch the X-Men, because when the X-Men's on, you have to watch the X-Men. Am I right? Welcome back to another episode of By the Wayside. I, of course, am your host, Jordan Middlebrook. And today's episode is, it's not any different than what I've done in the past. I usually take my openings and I blather on about some of the most ridiculous things that you could ever think about. Like, would Thor's hammer penetrate Iron Man's suit? I'm pretty sure that's been answered somewhere. Or would would a star destroy another star if it exploded? Oh, that's a good question. I should get a scientist on the show and answer that question. Okay, so here's my thing today. Christmas music. If you know anything about me, you know that I love Christmas. A couple episodes ago, I had a Christmas mug. I just like Christmas. I still have Christmas decor in the house. I don't have my Christmas lights up, but I still have Christmas decor in the house. And but Christmas music, every so often, I'll just throw on a Michael Bublé Christmas album because Christmas music makes me feel good. I literally wrote here, it makes me feel good. So why not listen to it, right? Like if something makes you feel good, it just kind of takes me to a place where the Christmas lights are up. I mean, right now it's April when I'm recording this. Sun is shining. There's no Christmas lights anywhere on Main Street right now. There's nice lights going across between these standards here, these light standards, but they're not Christmas lights. There's no snow on the ground. The snow reflects the Christmas lights. It creates a certain different type of ambiance. And Christmas music takes me to that area, takes me to there. So why wouldn't I want to listen to Christmas music year round? But what, like in the Jingle Bells song, they don't mention Christmas. It's just a song. So why can't it just be a song year round, right? I'm pretty sure that's a pretty good argument for year round Christmas music. Am I right? I think so. Is anyone here that might agree with me? Hold on. Nobody cares. Okay. Opening your pool. Do you have a pool at your house? I do. And we know here in Ontario, if you're from Ontario or you're a meteorologist in any way, shape, or form, the weather has not been very good here. I'm pretty sure that person just ran a red light. You know that I'm here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails in Newmarket, Ontario, and I'm right on Main Street in Newmarket, and I'm right at an intersection, and I'm pretty sure a person just ran a red light. That's the beauty of doing this here, is there's so many distractions, and my brain is like, there's a person walking there, there's a cute dog walking there. Oh, that person's picking up delivery from the fish and chip place. That car is speeding. Oh, motorcycle went by. But after all these questions are asked and all these things are answered, when is a good time to open your pool? I have a pool here in April. And you know what? One day I just said to myself, I'm going to open my pool. So I did. I opened my pool. When I took the cover off, the water was warm enough that I literally could have swam in it. After a day of rotating water, sort of circulating, I thought to myself, it's not warm enough to swim in. Sorry, Omar walked by there and distracted me for a second. I thought I was going to ask him a question, but I didn't. I should have asked him a question. Let's take it. Nah, it's too far away. He doesn't have a mic on either. He actually might have a mic on. I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't said nothing to ruin my talking yet. Do you have a heater in your pool? I do. So could I just run my above ground pool heater all year round? I think I could. I think I could. It's not in ground. In ground you probably could. But above ground, I don't know. That's a question. It's a question I should ask a person that deals with pools for a living, right? Anyway, we got a really jam-packed show today here by the wayside. Who's on the show today? Doug Knight, awesome interview, and Justin Lawrence from Geekcentric is here. So stick around because you're not going to want to miss this. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this. To tell us how a swift uppercut to the odds, taken directly from your website, helped shape his journey, creator Doug Knight is with me today. Doug, thank you very much for coming in today. I know that I'd said this in the past, that it's a beautiful day outside.
It's incredible.
So having you come inside and talk to me is like torture. So I appreciate you taking the time and coming inside when the day is beautiful.
Helps with the audio.
Doug, we are matching. That was intentional.
It was.
We both,
for the record,
yes.
I don't even plan my outfits with my wife. If we're wearing similar things, I'll change to like be opposing to her. So
okay.
It's a sign of me liking you.
Okay. Well, I'm not taking my sweater off. So too bad.
All right.
Doug, Cross-Eye Comics
Mm-hmm.
is the name. It's the banner in which your comics are all under.
True that.
Can you explain the story of Cross-Eye Comics to me?
Yeah, sure, man. It's actually pronounced Crossy Comics.
Crossy?
Oh. No, it's not.
I told you I wasn't going to get you, and then you got me.
So obviously, one of the things about living life with exceptional needs is that a sense of humor is a very important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for when I was thinking about like edgy publication titles and things of that ilk, I just kind of rounded on the fact that my eyes have always been, obviously a point of focus for people, but in the same sense, a point of concern for me socially.
Yeah.
So instead of avoiding it, I kind of, put my bull hat on and ran head first.
Oh, okay.
And the main joke being that I actually have lazy eyes, not cross eyes.
Okay.
So it's I had an encounter at Edmonton Fan Expo where a girl with glasses came up and she's like, "Are your eyes actually crossed?" And she took her glasses off and her eyes shot straight in towards her nose. And I was like, "No, they go the other way." And I took my glasses off. We did like a glasses high five with each other and stuff. So, I think it's just another way of building in an Easter egg to the mythos and,
awesome.
and giving somebody something confusing to read online.
Crossy Comics. Killing me, Doug. Speaking about exceptional needs, at your events, on your table, you usually have a pair of glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what those glasses are?
Yeah, sure, man. So they're I keep a couple pairs of pinhole glasses. So photographers use it for diffusing like photos and seeing how their colors balance and stuff. But what they do for my purposes is they help simulate how my visual field works.
Okay.
So I have atrophied optic nerves, which means that the image goes in perfect, but it hits a whole bunch of potholes in my optic nerves by the time it gets to my brain. So I lose a lot of the image. I've got spotty vision in my peripheral. Like it's all it's a jumble of like what trying to look around my own obstacles.
Yes.
So the pinhole glasses help explain that in the like most basic way.
Yeah.
So it really creates a very cool experience of inviting people into an opportunity where they can either draw how I see, or I'll give them one of my books so they can try to read it. So I try to create an inclusive experience so they can see that creating is about more than just having an easy road. It's about expression.
So in front of us here, I'm going to hold it up here. So in front of us here is your comic book. Okay. Now it's the Super Wicked White Cell Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've spoken in the past when you were here at one of the Creator Spotlight series, and you talked about getting this book into children's hospitals. Can you explain why this book?
Yeah, man. So I spent a ton of time in hospitals as a kid. I still go for my routine checkups and make sure that nothing that's still there is growing or anything. But as a child, from 1994 until 2002, I was there monthly, and I did chemo and MRIs, follow-ups, and endocrinology appointments, ophthalmology appointments. So I spent a lot of time at sick kids, and drawing for me was a catharsis for passing time.
Mm-hmm.
When I was too small for the teen room, I couldn't stand in front of the TVs and take up the video game systems or anything. So I got access to the craft section, and so the path that I found out of that was how much fun it is to draw.
Yeah.
And no matter how close I had to look to the paper, you know, I still got the opportunity. Sorry for the audio on that.
That's all right. No, that's awesome.
But you know, I got the opportunity to really find my own universes, and you know, the comic books that I couldn't read because the texts were too small, I drew my own, and you know, watch cartoons. So the point of making something that's really fun to read or just to look at, to get into children's hospitals. Thanks, Omar.
It's nothing. I didn't. Nothing of mine broke, so it's all good.
So the you know, is like the cheesy tag is you can't cure cancer, but I can help, you know, solve boredom. And you know, hopefully show people that there's avenue to creativity that, you know, you can take with you past your time at the hospital. You know, I never got to ring a bell. Like there's never any like definitive you're cured or anything because my tumor's still there. But you know, what I was able to take out from the hospital was you know, the fact that I have a path before me.
Yeah, awesome.
And creativity and fun. You know, it's I've created a title that's easy to reach.
Yep.
You know, it's nothing complicated. There's a bad guy, there's a cause, and there's a big old fight.
Yep.
And all the characters feel familiar. You know, when we spoke quickly as when I was a kid, as a, you know, little biracial angel growing up, like there was there was very few mixed superheroes for me to gravitate to, which sounds a little bit, you know, maybe jaded because they have superheroes representing Black culture, superheroes representing white culture. Captain Planet was obviously that thing where like everybody kind of had something, but there's still no like mixed kids in there, so there's still like it's still a fringe, you know. And I think that I created a lot of really cool inclusive characters in my book that kind of help bridge those gaps. And you know, I've also taken the opportunity to name characters in my book after doctors that I worked with, or that worked with me to help, you know, maintain my health and my positivity. And you know, it just creates an opportunity for goodwill and good times.
So it kind of bleeds into my next question.
Yeah, man.
And I'll read it verbatim.
All right.
Blindness hasn't stopped you. It's quite apparent. But has it slowed you down? You don't even have to answer that question because it hasn't. There's at no point I've read your work. I've heard you, just even in this small interaction, I've heard how you want, regardless of what had happened, you still pushed forward. You found something that helped you through it, that you want to continue helping people through it. So I don't even need to ask that question because regardless of what's happened, you've definitely maintained a positive outlook. And I've never seen any signs of you slowing down. I follow you on social media. I've seen you work here in February when you were at one of the Creator Spotlight series. You were working right through it. It is quite amazing to watch too, because you started, I believe, the cover to number 2 to this.
Yeah, that's right.
And you were basically finished it by the end of the day. I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
I never got an opportunity to wear the glasses.
That's okay.
And I think that it's an amazing way to connect and to show people that there is a disability, but it doesn't stop you.
Right.
It slows you down in only the way that you just. It's your own. Yes.
I got to make little maneuvers.
Yeah,
for sure. Advocate for myself.
Yeah, and with all of the work that you're doing, where can we find you online?
I'm pretty accessible through Cross-Eye Comics. You look at me on Threads, X, Instagram. Facebook is for Aunt Kathy, so you can look for Doug Knight, but there's just a lot of family stuff on there.
It's Aunt Kathy.
You know, I started a TikTok, so I post the same stuff that I put on Instagram. So I'm making it very easy to access me. Right now, I've got the pre-launch for my Super Wicked White Cell Squadron 2 Kickstarter up. So if you go to Kickstarter and you search Super Wicked, it's the first thing that pops up. Made it really easy. So I'm trying to get the pre-launch numbers up for that. That goes live May 14th. And then same initiative. We've got going to send more books to more kids in hospitals using the help of great people. And I also got the volume 1 assembled for this, so you'll be able to get both books in the same sick package. So yeah.
Well, Doug, 2 things. No, 3 things. 3 things. Number 1, our next guest surprises Aunt Kathy. I'm just kidding. Number 2, thank you very much for taking the time in coming here today. I know that Aside from it being beautiful, it can be difficult to find some time for a 10-minute interview, and I appreciate you taking the time. And number 3, I can't believe we're like the sexiest dudes on the internet with these sweaters, these retro kid sweaters. Thanks again, Doug. I appreciate it.
What I just real quick.
Yes,
real
of
quick.
course.
Part of showing up to a 10-minute interview is part of the job in being independently professional. So when you get an opportunity to talk to people that are putting the word out there, it is just as important to go to your job as it is to take the time from your job to put it towards these initiatives.
Fair.
So
Very
it's
fair.
when the opportunity comes, like if you're an independent creator, you grab it up and,
Awesome.
and make yourself.
That's
look
a great
good.
point. Great
Yeah.
piece of advice
There you
too
go.
for all independent creators. Well, stick around because we have lots more on the episode, so don't go anywhere.
Do I get to do any likes or subscribes or anything?
You can say anything you want.
Okay, well.
Just do it right now.
So Jordan's going to put all the stuff on the bottom of the screen, and I'm just having a lot of fun learning how to do hit the like button and subscribe and use your thumbs to make everything spread around the world and share positivity with each other.
Share positivity. I like it. Shut up and subscribe. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I, of course, am your host, Jordan Obrook. I just realized now it's going to be Justin's. It's going to be Jordan's. Funny enough, I get mistaken. I get called Justin quite a lot.
All the time for me too. Justin, I get Jordan, Jason, all of that.
I get Jason a lot. Too.
Yeah, you get that.
There is no better resource for pop culture. And if you're looking for a way to find out about your favorite movies, television shows within the geek, I mean, I'm not like, you know, how often does Geek Centric talk about House?
Yeah, it's not really our bag.
It's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And with me is host from Geek Centric, one of the hosts from Geek Centric,
Yes.
Justin Lawrence. Justin, thank you very much for taking the time, coming in and talking to me on By the Wayside.
Oh, dude, thank you for having me. It's been been watching the interviews. They're really great. I love that you're having like a creative corner. So I'm humbled to be here and chatting with you and your audience as well.
And it's funny too because you didn't know I was wearing a Retro Kid sweater.
Nope.
And you, of course, are wearing.
I'm wearing one as well. I was going to wear this one. I'm glad I didn't. I'm happy I wore the Sesame Street. My daughter loves Sesame Street, so
Yeah.
so we she saw it. She was like, Elmo, that's the style you got to go with, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, my daughter is only 13, so she's like,
video.
I can just watch that on Twitch now. Like, wow.
Exactly. Well, that was Twitch before
Yes,
Twitch,
I
right?
agree,
So
100%.
let's go.
So Geek Centric.
Yes.
Geek Centric is a podcast that focuses on many different aspects
Mhm.
of pop culture, with hundreds of episodes. How did it start?
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to 2017 really quick here. And we actually didn't start as a podcast. We started as a YouTube channel for our toys and collectibles.
Nice.
We created, we have a huge set of Funko collections, and we have other toy collections as well. Sorry. Yep. Want to make sure that's good.
It's on.
Yep.
It happens every episode.
What happens? You got to make sure. No. But yeah, we started as a YouTube channel that wanted to showcase our fandoms through our toy collections. We had sets of Funko Pops, and we did, instead of just unboxings, we did what we called fun boxings, which were stop motion,
Oh, dang.
animated sort of things. They were makeshift stop motion. We definitely had some pretty elaborate plans for how to get things out of boxes. But as we developed, and I do most of the shooting and editing, I kind of developed techniques to kind of speed up that process so it looks sort of stop motiony, but it's not really. So we did that for a really long time, right up until 2020. And of course, there was this little thing called the pandemic that happened. I know, everyone's like, oh, so we are so collaborative at Geekcentric, so we couldn't do the videos that we wanted to do. We couldn't do the kind of content that we wanted to. So we were all kind of divided making video content, but we would always get together and do the podcast. In 2019, we made a push for the podcast and started posting, but not as consistent. But as soon as 2020 came around, and as soon as the pandemic was a thing, we focused on really the podcast, doing movie reviews, talking about the things we love. We did some fun games as well.
Nice.
And now here we are, 2024, 4 years later, and we're focusing on movie reviews, TV reviews, interviews. We tend to have some news topic episodes where we talk about trailers and the latest geek news.
Yeah.
But really, we've been doing a lot of reviews and a lot of interviews. And we're humbled. It's been 4 years of pure growth. And we're so grateful for every opportunity that we get and the studios that like to work with us and the PR agencies that are like, hey, you guys do good work, so why don't we give you this opportunity? And honestly, we're blessed. So
yeah. Well,
it's nice.
I've watched and listened multiple times, so yeah, it's really
Awesome.
good stuff.
Thanks, man.
So there's no deny. Like you see trash, you know trash.
Mhm.
It's not trash. It's very good. I better say that before someone just clips that and is like, Geek Centric is trash. Yeah, no, that's not the case at all. With all of these amazing topics that you cover in the geekdom and pop culture, is there one specific area that you wish you could cover more?
Oh, you know what? Seeing as how, as I was mentioning, we've gotten away from the toys and collectibles, and we still are huge toys and collectible fans. And now that we're doing more movie reviews and stuff like that, I think we've got that side pretty much owned, and we're good. I would like to get back into the toys and collectibles. It's just about finding a way to do it that it's still us. Because the stop motion, a friend of mine, acquaintance of mine, Peter McKinnon, I'm sure you know who he is. I remember when I showed him the first few stop motion videos, and he was like, these are great. He's just like, but you should really focus on making them special, because you're going to get to burnout really quick. Yeah. And honestly, before 2020 even hit in the pandemic, I was getting there. It's a lot of effort to do these big, elaborate stop motion videos. And sometimes you just want to do a video that just shows a pop or shows a toy, and you want to talk about why that toy or that collectible means something to you. And that in itself is what we really tried to do with the unboxings, was to highlight the importance of that geeky fandom to us and why we loved it. Or, we would give little tutorials and little backgrounds about, Snuffleupagus, or, how the Power Rangers came to be and stuff like that. So people who are younger, who might be like, who are the Power Rangers, or, anything along those lines, they have a little bit more. So, YouTube is a place where you want to learn as well. So we wanted to infuse that in there. So, short answer is I'd love to get back to toys and collectibles and infusing a little bit of a educational geeky fandom to that. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that would be the only thing that I would really want us to focus on. Because for movies and TV reviews, we got them covered. Like we got a lot of them.
Next stop, Toy Train. Well, then that kind of answers my next question about what's next for Geek Centric. Like, is there anything beyond the podcast or even the video interviews?
Well, so big picture for us, I always like to talk with the guys. There's 5 of us, right? So there's Kevin and Nate, who were the OG originals from 2017 into 2020. And as we started getting more and more coverage, we actually added 2 other members who served more of a voice. Darcy Hudson, who's actually Kevin's brother, and then Meg, who's a friend of ours who's into animation and illustration.
Right on.
So, and we also wanted the female perspective. So I really want, I know collectively we've talked about Geek Centric being just a big community where people can come and go and drop their voice and join conversations. And we would love to see that for the future of Geek Centric. And just this idea of a community. We've talked about maybe hosting charity events or hosting events and doing things like that. Or, we want to go to more conventions and be sort of the geeky representatives. And, when you go to these large conventions, you're kind of a small fish in a big pond. But what's really great is Canada is so underrated for having such a small media and collective team that we can be, and I think if we work hard enough, and we do work hard enough, we can be Canada's geek center of all things geeky, and covering things from YouTube on toys and collectibles, and we want it all. We really want to do it all.
It's centric. It's geek centric.
Exactly.
So, I get it. 100%.
So, and we've been playing with that a little bit more. We're covering more A24 films, which people would be like, oh, those are more artsy, snobby films, but they're not. They're still done with a sense. If you know A24 and you know their films, they're done with a sense of love and passion for film. And I would equate that to a geeky love of way of telling stories and movies. So, we're broadening the horizon. We're definitely opening the door a little bit more, but we still want to stay in a realm of what makes us us and what we can speak to the most. So I don't know if that entirely answers your question, but we have plans. We have plans.
Eventually, we'll get there.
Yeah, exactly.
But what is interesting, because you talk about A24 films and the snooty faluti, where people consider it to be like,
yes, it's high art.
But it comes back to what I had said on a previous episode, was that you like what you like, regardless of how it might be perceived in different levels of culture.
Yes.
Sure, you like a terrible what is it called? Meet the Feebles.
Yes.
It's not great, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
Right.
But then Lord of the Rings, which is we know how I feel about Lord of the Rings. It's high. It's high production value.
Yeah.
It's made by the exact same director.
Exactly. And what we find too is that there's a pairing or there's a duality with how we mix and do coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I find Kevin and myself, we love to cover some of the movies that are kind of being revisited now that we loved back when we were younger.
Yep.
Right. So like Expendables 3, which was, I think it was 4 even actually. It was awful. It was an awful movie, the latest one that came out. And we went and saw it and we knew what we were getting ourselves into when we did this review, but we still wanted to because we are like, we love nostalgia.
Yeah.
We love feeling like that reminder of going back. Ghostbusters as well was big for us. And again, it's finding the way that everything kind of melds with what we love.
Yes.
And what we cover. And as you said, that geek-centric quality. So, one thing we don't really cover are horror movies, which some people are like, but horror movies are so geeky. It's just like, you know what? Well, most of us are chickens. We just, we're not really big, but So sitting through a screener of watching a horror movie, it's a tough go. But
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's an A24, then it's like, okay, you're gonna go see Midsommar or something like that. Maybe we do some more psychological thriller. But again, it's creating that sort of list because there's so many people in the community that do what we do that cover everything, and
True.
we realistically can't. We do have lives outside
of course,
of what we do. So it's really important for us to be really focused on what we love and how we bring that to life. And I think we do a great job at that.
Yeah. Well, you do.
Grateful for the team.
You do.
Yeah.
So, where can we find you online?
Yeah. So you can find Geekcentric on all podcast feeds, the Geekcentric podcast. You can also find Geekcentric on social. So you can find us on Instagram at We Are Geekcentric. If you still use the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, you can find us at Geekcentric YT and on TikTok at We Are Geekcentric as well. And obviously our YouTube channel, if you just search up Geekcentric, we're usually the first ones that come up. We have a couple videos that have done pretty well for us, which have given us some notoriety and given us some credibility. So you'll be able to find us pretty quickly. And then if you want, you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at HelloMJLaw. What we do, it's really great.
So it's interesting because you talk about not getting paid for something that you love,
Mm-hmm.
but when you look at it, it's the exact. All you're doing is making a lifelong note, podcasting or video of just your friends sitting around talking about the exact same things you do on a Saturday night.
Exactly.
Like when we were growing up, my exact same group of friends, we would sit in like the living room or at the kitchen table, sometimes in the hot tub. You get 5 dudes just sitting in a hot tub talking about the stupidest crap.
Yeah.
And it was always comic books. It was always movies. It was whether or not Blanca, is really the strongest Street Fighter. It's just one of those things, right? So why not take all of that, slap it down? You just make something out of it. And I get it 100%. I think it's an amazing thing to do. Geekcentric, like I said, is really good. The production value is excellent. I love listening to it. And Justin, again, I can't thank you enough for coming in today and talking about Geekcentric, answering questions that I hope not a lot of people get to ask you.
This is the first time I've ever been interviewed, so there you go.
There's a lot of
I appreciate it. I know. I really appreciate it. So,
but again, thank you again for coming and taking the time with me here.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem.
Awesome.
Stick around because we have lots more coming up.
Peace.
If you want to be a guest on the show or you know someone that could potentially be a guest, I want you to reach out. Send a DM or a message. If you come into the shop, find Omar. He's the guy with the hat. And find a phone number. I dare you. No, don't call anybody. You do it. I'm going to call you. You do whatever you want. That's the beauty of By the Wayside. We do creative, fun things here. And if it's not fun and it's not creative, what's the point? Like, what's the point? If you can't do a show about connecting you to creativity and creative people in a comic shop in Newmarket, Ontario, what's the point? I'm sitting right here in this little atrium, gully. I don't know what this is. The door's right there. I'm just going to get up and walk out. But I'm not going to because I'm the host of By the Wayside. And this is the new episode. Not the new episode. This is the new segment of By the Website. Oh my goodness, it's like I've been talking for hours and days. This is the Omar recommends section of the show. And I know that Omar is around here again, and I've learned to really like doing this and looking around and going, where's Omar? He's over there. Omar, do you have a book that you want to recommend today?
Always have a book I want to recommend.
Awesome. If you ever come into Wayside Comics in Newmarket, know that there is a person that can help you find a book for any tastes. That's one of the reasons why we have an Omar Recommends segment. Because Omar has recommended multiple books to me, and I have purchased them through hypnosis. So be careful. And but
Lots of subliminal advertising inside the shop.
when you walk in, and I like to get a hot chocolate, and he says, "Here's your hot chocolate. Buy a comic book." And then I was like, "Oh, here we go, buying comic books."
Jordan's easy. All you got to do is put the dragon shield from the Green Ranger on top of a comic, and then he immediately has to buy it, no matter what.
Yeah, it's one. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for the Green Ranger merch. Omar, what are you recommending today?
All right, so today we have Squire and Knight by Scott Chandler. So Squire and Knight is a great all-ages adventure story. The artwork in here is beautiful. The writing is great. It's nice to find books that you can enjoy, like both as an adult, as a kid, and with your kids. Like this is a great book to give to somebody who's a young reader, a mature reader, something to read with your kids, and also just for yourself. It's a wonderful adventure tale. The aforementioned Squire and Knight. Squire is the young bookish kid who usually gets left behind, and the Knight is kind of inept and very, knightly and huzzah, we will slay the dragon. And Squire is the one who wants to stop and think.
Nice.
And this dragon is terrorizing this town, and while Knight goes off to try and slay the dragon and has a time doing it, Squire stays behind and kind of realizes there's more of a mystery to what's happening and starts breaking everything down. It's kind of like the Green Hornet and Kato.
Oh, awesome.
A little bit, where it's a more intellectual Kato in terms of what Squire is doing, but it's just a wonderful story. Really good dialogue, beautiful imagery. I love Scott's art. Like it really is evocative of so many things, and has a lot of whimsy to it, and like very much a call to adventure.
It does.
But I know he has another book coming out in this series. He also has a ton of other books, but this one is fantastic, and I recommend it to everybody.
When you had said one of the beauties about this book is that, and not just this book, but when there are books where you can enjoy with your family.
Mm-hmm. I recommend Bone to a lot of parents.
Yeah.
It's a great book that you can read with your kids. You will enjoy it as a parent as well.
Yeah.
Like it's literally an all ages book, and I can appreciate anything that you can share with somebody.
Yeah,
and
I
this is
agree.
a book that you can definitely share with people and enjoy on your own.
I remember that way back in the day in the 90s, there was a magazine, Wizard, and it was the guide to comics and comics publishing and all that stuff. And one of their big introductory comic books was Jeff Smith's Bone.
Right.
And I agree. This is, especially now in 2024, Bone still exists as a great comic book and a great story.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see comics isn't just an adult's, and it's not an adult's medium. It's not a hiding in your mom's basement medium. It is a medium for everybody. It is the holding your hands television show.
Yeah, one of the things I always look for when I go to cons, when I'm looking for new creators to bring to the shop, bring their books in, is whether they're stories that are told with no words, because I love having something to let people kind of create their own story. Visual storytelling is its own thing. I learned English from reading comic books, so anything that can help somebody who you don't need to know the language to appreciate what it is. That's always something I'm looking for. And the other thing is good all ages tales, things that you can read, things that feel like one and dones, but also things that keep that tradition of good comics. Comics are for everyone storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's something that I'm always looking for, and this hits the nail on the head with that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Omar. I know that your recommendations are always a hit. I've never been disappointed. I know people that I've spoken to about your recommends have never been disappointed. And so after you recommend a show...
To recommend a show. Breathe, Jordan, breathe. Yeah.
Catch You by the Wayside.
I think you mean Catch You by the website.
Oh, fuck. And again, of course, that is another episode of By the Wayside. I am your host, Jordan Middlebrook. I can't thank all of our guests enough. That person and I on Main Street just made direct eye contact. It was very weird for a second there, and it is now immortalized on the internet. If you want to come visit Wayside Comics, I encourage it. I love coming here. It is the greatest hot chocolate on the planet. He turned his mic off, so you can't hear him go woohoo. Amazing selection of comics and collectibles. Great community. If you come here, tell him I sent you. Nothing special happens, but just tell him I sent you. And that's the show. I'm Joe Middlebrook. This is Wayside Comics. Thanks again to Omar. Thanks again to all my guests. And I'll catch you by the wayside. Insert music here.